Welcome to the Lindsay and Tony podcast, where we talk about spirituality, business, and life experiences.
In this podcast, we're bringing our private conversations to you.
We believe that it's through discussion, action, and reflection that true change occurs.
Hello and welcome to episode 97, How to Treat Food as an Opportunity for Nourishment with Natalia Levey. In this episode, I interview my friend, chef, TEDx speaker, and author of the book Cravings Boss. And she shares how there is a link between gut health and happiness, and how we can use food as a source of nourishment in our life. We hope that you enjoy the show.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. Today's episode is all about the link between your gut and happiness. And I'm so excited to welcome my amazing friend and guest, Natalia Levey. So thank you for being here, Natalia.
Thank you so much for having me, Lindsay.
So you're definitely an expert with this topic. And before we get started, Natalia actually has been the chef the past, how many years has it been?
3.
3 years for my psychic medium retreat. And she's coming back this year for another psychic medium retreat, which we're so excited about.
Me too.
Yes.
It's always such an adventure, and each one is so different.
Right, it really is. So this is going to be amazing. And you just did a TED Talk all about the link between food and happiness. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe your journey with how you came about really discovering the meaning behind food?
Thank you for that introduction.
Yes.
Super excited about the retreat.
Yes.
So in November of 2019, I gave a TEDx Ocala at the talk. The title is The Surprising Connection Between Gut and Happiness. So I grew up in Russia, and I've grew up in Moscow, but so it's big city life, kind of like growing up in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
But every summer I would spend with my grandmother in the country. And I have realized now, after having all of the knowledge that I have, that I started to really go back and understand how I felt back then.
Yeah.
And I started to make connections between feeling amazing during the summers, being in the country. We would grow all of the veggies. We would have, if there's a piece of land, you grow vegetables.
Right.
So when I came to the States and I see all of these beautifully manicured lawns, I'm like, how are people not growing vegetables on the beautiful lawns?
Yeah.
But I still sort of started creating this connection that throughout the year I would have low energy, and I would have all sorts of digestive issues. That this is something that I don't share too much.
Right,
but as a little girl, my mom took me to the doctors actually, and they would try and put a tube down my throat without anesthesia. I hear in this country they do it with anesthesia.
Oh, wow.
Like they put you out for that.
Yes.
So imagine I was, I don't know,
That's
8
so
or 9 years old, and they kept trying to put that tube down for about an hour or whatever. And then I cried so much. Long story short, nothing happened. I was crying so much that I begged my mom to leave. So as soon as the doctors left the room, she just took me out. So I never really found out.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I had an episode about 8 or 9 years ago where I found myself being extremely depressed. And for no apparent reason. There was something. I'm married to the love of my life, and we are very in a good place, and did a lot of traveling, a lot of fun and exciting things. But I went to my doctor, and she's an MD, but she does a lot of integrative medicine.
Yes.
And she did some blood work on me, and some of my hormones were off, and through that, and then we just started sort of integrating everything and bringing the food factor and bringing everything. So that was sort of my first introduction into the functional approach to medicine and to how we eat. And then over the years, so I got certified as a health coach and as a nutritional consultant and wrote a book.
Yes, amazing.
Thank you. And then I really started to, in the last couple of years, I really have been trying to nail down exactly what happens to our body after we eat.
That's huge. Well, and thank you for sharing that bit with us, because certain things that you're sharing could be really relatable to other people, where they're going to start to connect the dots too, because it could be something that's linked for them also. So your TED Talk, how many minutes is it 14 minutes? I forget.
It's about 12 and a half, including the standing ovation.
Yes, which of course that was really deserved, because it really was one of those talks that opened your eyes, where you're like, wow, I need to pay attention to the food that I'm eating. And I think that's really important.
Thank you.
For people to listen to that. If anything, after this episode, go, and I'll link the link to the TED Talk too. But with your book, you wrote the book first before you did the TED Talk.
Yeah, I wrote the book a few years ago, and it was the first journey really into the depths of connecting what food does to our bodies. I am a researcher.
Yeah.
I don't rely on, the hyped up information that comes through the media. I go deep in. I go to libraries or online libraries and read a ton of medical articles, and I really try to make sure that all the information that I put out is really reliable.
Right.
Now, given I'm not a medical doctor, so don't take this as a medical advice, but this is just something to help people just look at something from a different perspective.
Right. So would you suggest, so I know there's certain people that crave different foods. For me personally, I crave chocolate and things that are salty. And I know in your book, you kind of cover different things, and when you have certain cravings, it's meaning different things. So a lot of people that are listening are highly sensitive, and I know we're going to do an extended talk later for my mediumship membership group, so we're going to get more in detail there. But I do want to touch base on, some people are mediums that are listening now. Is there a reason that you feel that we crave the magnesium? I kind of know on my end where I feel like we're using this different energy. So a lot of mediums actually lack magnesium. So can you tell us a little bit about how to go about that? Instead of just eating anything under the sun, what would you say if we take chocolate, for instance? Where would you go with that?
So to answer your question first regarding magnesium, so it is one of the major minerals that we'll use if we're under stress. So there are different types of stress that we put our bodies through. Some stress is preventable, some stress is not preventable. I feel like it is probably a low stress doing the readings and exposing your energy to different elements.
Right.
So even though you don't realize it, but you do put stress onto your system while doing that. And not only that, you expose your energy to other energies as well. So it probably drains the system out of magnesium.
Right.
One of the best actually ways to restore magnesium in your body is to do a bath soak with Epsom salt and magnesium. My doctor, actually, Lisa Coach, she just wrote the book called Get Lit. And what I didn't realize is that, and I read in her book, is that make sure to rinse off after you take a bath with salt.
That makes sense, because it's almost detoxifying everything.
Yeah.
So it's like sitting on your body if you don't wash it off.
Right.
That makes sense. I'm gonna have to read her book too. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, and it's quick. It's great. It's good.
Okay. It'd be amazing to interview her at some point too. I think that's really an important point. So I love that. Is there anything else people should know when it comes to the food that they're eating? How to know, what do I need for food?
Well, with food, so I have gone through the trainings, specialty training with the Institute for Functional Medicine, specifically for our mitochondrial function. And mitochondria, as you know, are the little energy centers inside our cells. And through the Institute for Functional Medicine, they actually gave us a list of recommended foods that support the function of our mitochondria cells. And so we have almonds, avocado. They recommend grass-fed beef, blueberries, broccoli, coconut oil, green tea, cold-pressed unfiltered extra virgin olive oil, pomegranates, salmon, seaweed, and spinach are your top foods for optimal mitochondrial function.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, so we're going to have to pay attention. They might have to re-listen to that because that's really important. And I think it's when we do want energy, sometimes we're in the society where let's get quick energy and drink energy drinks, which I can't drink those. It's
all it does is most energy drinks are just so high in sugar and caffeine that it will give you the 10-15 minute buzz, but then the crash is going to be so much deeper.
Right.
So with a lot of times with energy, most of us honestly are dehydrated.
That's what I believe that.
So the quickest way to get the energy back is to literally just drink either regular water or the spa water. I have a bunch of spa water recipes in my book. So at the retreats we actually do water colored and flavored to support the chakras.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
So that's always great because energy is visible and invisible. You can see, basically you can see and read somebody's energy.
You can.
For the majority of the population, it's hard to make it feel real, but for people who are very intuitive, it's
right.
We definitely can feel high energy foods, and also pay attention where you buy your food from. Is the place where you buy your food from, like, is their energy good? The energy of the foods that you buy from a local farmer's market is going to be better than the foods that's been shipped 3,000 miles or however far along.
That's so true. I love getting fresh, like at the fresh market in Hyde Park and different things like that, because it does taste different. Even this summer, I was at my parents' house, and every morning I would go pick blueberries out of the blueberry bush, and it felt so different eating those blueberries.
Oh, it is totally different.
Rather than the store blueberries. So,
and also it's important the energy which you input into the cooking. So we have several restaurants, and I have mindfulness programs for our cooks and our servers to make sure that whatever they touch, that they're not allowed to touch the food if they're angry.
Oh, I love that you do that. Well, you can feel the energy with the food. It feels like so much love. And we're from an Italian family, so when it comes to Italian food, we're really specific, and my parents came to eat. Can you tell us the name of the restaurant too, just so
it's
people in Florida?
Speaks Clam Bar. We have 2 locations now and more coming.
Yes, which I'm excited about. I'm excited about that. Is there anything else that we should know? Because I know your website has a lot of great resources too. And we're going to continue this conversation in the membership community. But just to kind of wrap it up for the people on this episode, where can they get more information about figuring out when they're craving certain things, what that means for them? So this book is a perfect resource.
The book is a perfect resource. I also have an amazing course that's expanded all the information that's in the book, and it's housed on Daily Om.
Yes.
It's not called Cravings Boss. It's Stop Self-Sabotage with Food. But if you just go on Daily Om and search for my name, you'll find the courses.
Okay, perfect.
It's quite extensive, and it definitely takes you a lot deeper than the book itself does.
Okay. And the biggest message that you think that people should hear if they're listening to this and they are feeling that feeling of feeling depressed or they feel like something's lacking? What would you suggest for them to just have a small start? Because it is hard if you go from going out to eat all of the time and relying on not making your own food versus how would you say that they should shift?
That's a great question. I haven't been there. I think it's just not to not feel overwhelmed and just start making small adjustments. I understand for some people it's very important to make drastic changes and adjustments, because sometimes that you need that shock system. I would have like an accountability buddy on, make sure that you're not doing this alone.
I love that. That's actually a really good idea, because when you do have someone that holds you accountable, it makes you
accountable,
it keeps you aligned.
Or just somebody to vent to,
right?
Like a girlfriend or something.
Yes.
Like that.
And even like I know Tony and I, we started with making smoothies in the morning, and you're great at creating awesome creations through smoothies and different ideas, but just taking that one meal and changing it.
And that's one meal at a time. And then in my TEDx talk, I said by the age of 20, eating 3 meals a day, most of us have had 22,000 meals.
That's crazy.
So imagine by the age of 40, it's roughly 44,000 meals. So take every single meal as an opportunity to give your body the ultimate nourishment that it needs.
I love that. When it comes to food is really a gift, and treating it as that, like really paying attention to what you're putting into your body. What if there's moments where you feel like, well, maybe I shouldn't eat that today, and you deprive yourself? Where would you go from there?
So I would really start thinking of food. First of all, I would sit down and just write down all the emotions that come up when you think of food. Because I've done a workshop on how to use food as the ultimate form of self-love.
I love that.
And one of the things that we do is we treat food as a source of nourishment and information, because I studied nutrition, so for me it is information. When the food comes into the body, there is we get the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats, and the minerals, and then the vitamins and all of that stuff. So we start with that, but there's so much more to it. Is there emotion that's connected to some food? So I would start creating positive memories.
I love that. Yeah, because I think that does make a difference. When I think of the smell of like sauce and basil, I think of my mom and my family being at home and eating that food. But even shifting those memories to maybe not have the macaroni every single time, but switching to, I know you've made zucchini, what is it called? Like zoodles.
Yeah,
like there's different ways to kind of move about during that process too.
And I explore a lot of that at a lot of recipes on my YouTube channel as well.
I love your YouTube channel, so if they need more information about you and how to sign up for your newsletter and just any updates, they would go to...
So I've just been updating because I have the restaurants and I have the culinary education. I have so many things going on right now. So I just created NataliaLevey.com. That's my personal brand. But if you are interested more in the health aspects, then it's Healthy Intent.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for all of
Lindsay,
your energy and your time and the value that you always bring.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.